All right, so for today you need a ruler and you need a compass. So we are doing three constructions. We're constructing a parallel line passing through a given point. We're also going to construct a perpendicular line passing through the given point on the line as well as off the line. So looking at the first one, the parallels. The first motion that I have to do is I need to draw a straight pathway that passes through the point provided and the line provided. So I could draw it vertical, I could draw it a little bit more slanted. We actually have options. It does not matter. I would say try to follow what I'm doing in this first one so that we have similar outcomes. All right, so I'm drawing that line that slices through the given line as well as the point provided. Now, what I'm doing in this construction, I'm essentially going to copy the corresponding angle and slide it up. That's what I'm doing to make my parallel lines. So with my compass, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put my needle right here at the vertex of this angle, right in here. Okay, my preference, so I don't get confused, is to have it at a width that's below this point right here. So I'm actually going to make it a little bit more narrow. I'm going to have it at this setting right here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist my wrist and draw an arc that slices through both of these lines here and here. Okay, let me pull my compass away so you can see that more clearly. So here was where my needle was. I drew an arc that sliced through both of these straight pathways. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, so this was my original vertex. Up here, I'm going to do the same motion. So I'm going to put my needle right here, and I'm going to draw an arc, just like so. All right, so my needle was right here. I drew this arc. My needle was right here. I drew this arc right here. So remember what I'm doing. I'm trying to copy this angle and slide it up into its corresponding spot. So I now need to put my needle right here, and I want it open to this width, okay? It could also be flipped around like this. It's still the same width, so whichever one you choose is fine, okay? Now, in order to copy it and slide it up, I do need my needle to be right here. I need to make sure that it's at the right width. So I'm going to just check to make sure it looks like it's a good width. So here was my needle, and then I checked with my pencil portion like that, making sure that I'm in the right spot. So that looked pretty good to me. So now I'm ready to take my needle here and slide it up to right here. And I'm going to make that same motion right here. Okay, and once I have that in place, this point of intersection, when I slice through where this point is right here, I should have parallel pathways. Okay, so all I did, again, I'm essentially copying a corresponding angle. So if I took this angle here, slide it up, it's now in its corresponding position, which is what locks these lines into a parallel position right here. Okay, one other thing just to point out to you, if I actually connected these 2 points of intersection here, I would actually have a parallelogram, because this pathway would be parallel to this pathway over here. So just a nice little extension. All right, let's do it one more time. So if you want to pause, practice this on your own, that's fine. If you want to watch me do it one more time, that's fine too. So my initial marking is a straight pathway that passes through the point and the line provided. I can draw it vertical, I can draw it slanted, it doesn't matter. Maybe I'll draw it this way this time. Okay, I want to copy an angle and slide it up. That is my goal. I want to copy a corresponding angle, slide it up. That's what's going to lock my lines into a parallel position. So I want to copy this angle right here, or this one. It could be on either side. It doesn't matter. I'm going to practice doing it on the left. So again, I want my setting to be less than where that point is right here. And that's really my preference. That's not a rule. Okay, I'm going to start by making an arc like so. Okay, and then I'm going to put, my needle was here, I'm going to put it right here now, and I'm going to make that same arc. Just like so. Okay, now I need to have my compass open to this width. Okay, so I have my needle here, I'm going to open it to this width right here. I want to check it just like so. So again, if I had my needle here, pencil here, it's going to be the same width. I'm just checking to make sure I'm in the right spot. So that looks good. Okay, the last thing to do is to put my needle up here. So it was here, and now it's here, and I'm going to replicate that motion right there. So again, what's important to me is this location right here, that point of intersection. Okay, and now I take my straight edge. I look at those 2 points right here and here, and I slice on through. So what I have essentially done is I have copied a corresponding angle. This angle here would slide up into this position perfectly, making these parallel pathways. And then again, one more thing to notice is that right here and here, these 2 points, if I connected through those, I would have another set of parallels here and here, and I would actually have a parallelogram. All right, so that's our parallel construction. Now the perpendiculars. So we have 2 variations of this. So perpendicular with a point on the line. Let's start with that one. All right, so the first thing that I need to do is I need to make an initial arc. I need to have my needle right here on the point provided that passes through both sides of the line. So any setting is fine, it just has to slice through both sides. So I'm going to keep my compass at this setting, and I'm going to make a little U shape, right? I'm going to draw kind of half of a circle, maybe a little bit more. So I'm interested in where it's going to slice through, like so. So I've made my initial arc. My needle was right here, and I've made this a little bit more than a semicircle, a little bit more than half a circle, like so. Okay, what I'm interested in is this point of intersection here and this one right here. So after the initial arc, I want to make my compass a little bit wider. The reason I need it to be wider is if I keep it at this width, right, it's only going exactly halfway. So I need to open it just a little bit wider. So this setting is good. Okay, and then I need to make an arc right here in that interior. My needle was here, made an arc in the interior space. My needle goes right here now, and I look at where it crosses. Okay, and then I'm going to pay attention to this point of intersection right here and that initial point that was provided. And I'm going to slice right on through those 2 points. So these points right here and here that we were building off of are really the points that we would be using if we were doing a perpendicular bisector. So it's a very similar skill, right? We had to draw that initial arc, and then we had to make our compass wider. I'm going to write that here so you guys have that in your notes. So after the initial arc, make the compass wider. Okay, and then we're going to practice it one more time. So if you want to pause, try it by yourself. That's always an option. All right, so next one over here. I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to make that little U shape. It's a little bit more than a half circle. So here is my setting, like so. And I'm going to spin it around and make a U. Okay, so these 2 locations here and here, they are equidistant from the point that was on the line. Okay, after that initial arc, I need to make my compass a little bit wider. Remember why. If I leave it at that initial setting, it's just right here. It's the same place as where that point is right here. So I need to open it a little bit wider. Okay, I like that setting. That looks good. So I'll make an arc in the interior. And then I go to this other point of intersection. And I do the same thing. Okay, and I'm interested in where those two arcs cross. So this location right here. Okay, and then I take my straight edge and I slice on through. Okay, very similar to how we do the perpendicular bisector construction, right? If these were the two endpoints of the initial segment. We don't have a segment though, we have a line. So we've built off of these endpoints as our frame of reference. So in both of these examples, we know that all of these angles are right angles here as well. So I can show that with my little box notation. All right, so we're going to do the same thing here, except we're going to do it with a point that is off of the line. All right, so we start with the same initial step. We want to draw an arc that slices through the line. So whatever setting your compass has, usually fine. Okay, you just don't want to go off of your paper. So my setting right now looks fine because it will slice through both sides of that line. Okay, I might even make it just a little bit more narrow. Okay, so I just closed it just a little bit, and I'm going to draw that initial arc that cuts through on both sides just like so. Okay, once you feel good about that, then I'm going to put my compass right here, my needle right here, and I'm going to make an arc that's in the opposite region from where the dot is. If I make it right here, it's just going to confirm that that point is in the right spot. Let me just slide my paper up a little bit. Okay, so I'm actually going to go in the opposite direction as this point. So I'm going to go below and make an arc right here. And then I need to go over to this point of intersection and do the same thing. So I'm interested in this point right here where they cross. Okay, and then I'm looking at that point and that point here, and I want to slice through and make my perpendicular pathway. Okay, again, I should see that I'm making right angles. And these 2 points here, again, what it's doing is it's really doing the perpendicular bisector, right? It's really making this line into a segment so that we can make that perpendicular pathway. Okay, I want to make a little note so we remember that after the initial arc, we kept our compass the same width. All right, so now we're going to do it one more time to really drill in the skill. So looking at this visual, here is my point that is off the line. I want to draw my initial arc. So my needle is right here, and I'm just going to twist my compass and look at where it slices through on both sides, just like so. Okay, so these points are of interest to me right now. Okay, after that initial arc, I keep my compass the same width. My point is right here, so I'm going to make my arcs in the opposite direction. If I made them up here, it's just going to confirm that that point is in the right spot. So I want to go down. So my needle right here, I'm going to make an arc down below, just like so. Okay, I'm going to put my needle right here. Make an arc down below, just like so. So remember what I said, if I went above, watch what happens. It's just going to confirm that point that we already know is in the right spot. So I'm always going in the opposite direction. All right, so now I want to connect through the point provided and the point that I just found, that point of intersection. and I want to slice through. All right, so I've made a perpendicular pathway, right, passing through a point that is off the line. All of these angles would be right angles. They'd all be 90 degrees. So 3 constructions today, a parallel line passing through a given point, and then 2 perpendiculars, one passing through a point that was on the line, the other that was off the line. That's all I have for today. Have a good rest of your day.